Welcome back to DDRP on Bryson. This is the 66 Dodge Dart that we're restoring, and this is the engine hopefully that will be going in the Dart. So before it goes in, there's a couple of things I need to check to make sure it really is a good candidate. So I was talking to my uncle, knows these engines super well, knows these cars really well. He says one thing to check is the valve cover. Make sure that, take the valve cover off, look at the inside. This is how I got the motor. Previous owner said it was rebuilt. As you can see, it looks pretty clean. No major issues, no major gunk, right? Another thing to check is the oil pan. Oil pan is actually a rounded oil pan. It was customary that these would have square oil pans and that would knock on the key number of the car. But this one's rounded, which means it's been replaced. So pretty confident that there won't be any issues, no gummed up stuff in there. Still might be something that I remove and take a look at. Another thing to check is looking inside the spark plug tubes to see if I can see the top of the cylinder heads and make sure that there's no rust in there. All right, so I did see right here, down inside this cylinder, I can see the top of the head and there is no rust. And there's another one down here, right about here. Looking down in there, there's no rust in there either, so pretty good there. And then one of the final things to do is to check the timing on the car. So this section right here is where we look at the timing. And looking at this flywheel right here, or this wheel right here, there is a notch that was put right here to show where the timing is. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make sure that the cylinder number 1 is top dead center. So the way I'm going to do that is got a long file here. I'm going to stick down in the tube. All right. And then when I crank this around clockwise, when that notch gets up to the top here, this file should be at its peak. And then as I keep going, it should go back down, and that's how I can tell if the timing is right. If not, I've got to mark a new groove in there and mark that as top dead center. So you can see it's coming all the way out right now. All right, we're almost there. A little bit more now. Okay. We're getting close. That right there is the mark. So it's aligned right there. By looking here, I can see the top of the cylinder head right there. There does look to be a little bit of rust on top of the head, but not much. So I'll see if my uncle is okay with that, if it's good to put in there or not, but it seems like, at least from what I can tell, the timing is set good on this, so I think we're good to go. Okay, out working on the Dart, specifically the engine, and what I'm going to be doing today is trying to remove as many of the parts as possible from the engine, because I'm going to repaint it. And so let's get to it. here. You can see it's broke loose there at the top. That's what we want. And I'm just going to carefully slide this off. Okay. There it is. Yeah, that looks like a fairly new gasket right there. So I'll need to decide whether or not I replace this or not. At a minimum, I'll tape over all this since it's going to get covered and spray paint around it. But I just wanted to get up in here to be able to clean and paint. So anyway.